Hey, Moon Dancer. What a magical weekend we have ahead here. Cosmically, we have an incredibly rare blue moon, and that saying that goes once in a blue moon could not be more true. And there's just so much happening in the sky. And I think that this weekend will shake things up a bit. It makes me incredibly excited. And you might have been feeling the shift over the last couple of days as we move into this blue moon that will be peaking on Sunday, May 31st. Now, what makes this a blue moon is that it's the second full moon in this month. We experienced a full moon on May 1st, and we'll be experiencing another full moon on the 31st. And really, it's kind of magical that we started the month of May with a full moon, and we'll end the month of May with a full moon. And on the final breath, the final day of May, the sky opens. A luminous silver blue full moon will rise on Sunday, May 31st, peaking at around 2:45 a.m. Central Standard Time. And this isn't just any full moon. A blue moon is really a rare lunar crescendo. It's a cosmic temple bell echoing through the nervous system. And as we know, full moons do not whisper, but rather they amplify. And the yogis knew this long before telescopes and astrology apps. On the full moon, prana, energy, life force surges. Emotions swell, and the mind becomes strangely translucent, as if moonlight can pass through the walls we normally keep reinforced. Practices deepen faster, meditations penetrate further, and what was dormant begins stretching awake like vines after rain. The body becomes more receptive, the mind becomes more porous, and the energy you generate has to go somewhere. This is why full moon practices have been revered across yogic, tantric, Vedic, and mystical traditions for thousands and thousands of years. And this particular lunation is incredibly powerful. In the Western tropical astrology lens, this moon rises in the sign of Sagittarius, the philosopher archer, the seeker of truth beyond dogma. And Sagittarius is really this kind of sign of freedom. But in Vedic astrology, they use the sidereal, and this moon rises in Scorpio. Scorpio is a water sign. It's this kind of underneath the surface down into the depths. And really, together, these two archetypes create something really extraordinary. This moon is both arrow and ocean, fire and underworld, expansion and excavation. Sagittarius asks, what is true enough to live by? And Scorpio asks, what must die for that truth to emerge? And between those two questions, entire identities can collapse and reform. This moon is not merely about manifestation, it's about revelation. It's about the moment the inner compass begins humming again after months of static. So, what is a blue moon? As I mentioned, a blue moon is traditionally considered the second full moon occurring within a single calendar month. Astrologically, blue moons carry a sense of rarity, amplification, culmination, and accelerated growth. Blue moons often coincide with emotional breakthroughs, major endings, spiritual awakenings, shifts in direction, amplified intuition, heightened synchronicities, and sudden clarity. Blue moons feel like energetic magnifying glasses. And whatever has quietly been building beneath the surface suddenly becomes impossible to ignore. And because this blue moon occurs under the philosophical fire of Sagittarius, while simultaneously carrying the emotional depth of Scorpio through the Vedic lens, this lunation feels both expansive and deeply transformative. It asks you to evolve, not theoretically, but embodied. The full moon amplification effect. In yogic sciences, the full moon is considered a powerful, energetic magnifier. Water responds to the moon. The tides respond to the moon. And because the human body is mostly water, we respond to the moon too. Well, many people notice during a full moon intensified dreams, heightened sensitivity, emotional breakthroughs, insomnia or bursts of creativity, increased psychic perception, stronger meditation experiences, and sudden clarity around relationships or life direction. The subtle body becomes more permeable. It is as though the veil between conscious and unconscious thins into silk. For this reason, yogic traditions often reserved their deeper practices for full moon nights because the energy generated has momentum behind it. Inner work really ripples further into the subconscious lake, if you will. And this moon especially wants movement, not frantic movement, not performative growth, but expansion rooted in truth. And in Vedic Scorpio current, truth rooted in emotional honesty. No surface healing, not spiritual bypassing dressed in moon rituals and incense smoke. Scorpio really demands intimacy with the shadow, with grief, with desire, with power, with the hidden emotional currents quietly steering the ship. Western astrology, the Sagittarius blue moon, this full moon illuminates the Sagittarius Gemini axis. Sagittarius, the moon, Gemini, the sun. So Sagittarius is really seeking meaning, while Gemini gathers information. Sagittarius trusts intuition. Gemini analyzes details. Sagittarius wants wisdom, and Gemini wants data. The tension arrives when we confuse information for wisdom. Well, under this full moon, many people may suddenly realize a belief system that no longer fits, a relationship with that might have been built on projection, a career path that lacks soul, an old identity that has expired, and a dream has outgrown its current form. Sagittarius rules higher learning, philosophy, spirituality, travel, expansion, truth, vision, optimism, freedom. And this moon shines as a floodlight on where your spirit has outgrown its current container. The Sagittarius archetype longs for something larger than survival. It wants meaning, direction, purpose, experience. This is the sign of pilgrimage, of teachers, of sacred quests. And under this full moon, the soul may begin asking, am I living truly in alignment with what I believe? Or am I merely repeating inherited stories? The Mars aspect, the emotional fire and reactivity. So, this lunation also forms a challenging aspect to the planet Mars. Mars adds heat, Sagittarius adds fire, and Scorpio really intensifies emotional depth. The result can either forge wisdom or ignite chaos. And during this full moon, many may feel emotionally reactive, impatient, impulsive, exhausted, overstimulated, frustrated, emotionally raw. Check, 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 check. There may be a strong desire to push forward quickly, to force answers, or to react immediately. But you can think of this new moon as an invitation to not be reckless in your movement, but rather have it be more conscious. Pause before responding, pause before assuming, pause before burning bridges your future self may wish still existed. Not every spark deserves gasoline. In the Hellenistic astrology lens and divine illumination, the traditional Hellenistic astrology, which was the precursor to modern Western astrology, the moon is not merely emotional, it's the great reflector of divine order into earthly life. So the moon governs embodiment, instinct, memory, cyclical wisdom, fate unfolding through lived experience. And because this full moon occurs in Sagittarius in the tropical zodiac, its ruler is the planet Jupiter. And Jupiter really becomes the hidden orchestrator behind the scenes. In ancient astrology, Jupiter signifies blessings, sacred wisdom, teachers, abundance, faith, justice, spiritual expansion, and benevolence. Where Jupiter sits in your natal chart will reveal where this lunation is attempting to mature and expand you. This moon also occurs near a lunar apogee, really kind of technically making it a micro moon. So what that means is that it appears smaller in the sky and dimmer. Now, Hellenistic astrologers would likely interpret this nuance not as weakness, but rather as inwardness. This is not a theatrical illumination. It is a hidden illumination. Truth arriving quietly, kind of like a lantern in a cave instead of fireworks in a stadium. The revelation may come through dreams, synchronicities, symbolic conversations, meditation, body sensations, intuitive flashes, emotional realizations. And remember that not all truths arrive loudly. Some arrive like a key turning into a forgotten lock. Now, astrologically, the full moon is in the sign of Scorpio. And in Vedic astrology, this full moon lands in Scorpio. And Scorpio really changes everything. Scorpio is associated with transformation, emotional depth, hidden fears, psychic sensitivity, death and rebirth, sacred sexuality, emotional purification, and the unseen layers of consciousness. Scorpio is ruled by Mars in Vedic astrology, but unlike the outward warrior energy of Aries, Scorpio turns Mars inward. This is subterranean fire, volcanic emotional terrain. The kind that exposes where energy has become trapped in the body through suppression, heartbreak, fear, trauma, control, shame, attachment. And this moon may feel incredibly intense for sensitive people. Old memories can surface, dreams can become really vivid, and you may feel emotionally raw without fully understanding why. In Ayurveda and Tantra, Scorpio energy often correlates with the lower chakras, the Muladhara chakra, the root, and Svadhisthana chakra, which is the sacral chakra. And the themes around are safety, trust, intimacy, survival, pleasure, power, emotional vulnerability. And these themes may become more activated at this time. And it's not a punishment in any way, it's more a purification. Scorpio moons are psychic composers. They break down what has become stagnant so life force prana can begin to move again. And because this is a full moon, emotions hidden beneath the surface can no longer remain quietly buried. The body remembers, the nervous system speaks, and the soul really asks for honesty. This full moon is really where Soma is moon in Sanskrit, meets Scorpio. So in Ayurveda, the moon governs Soma, this like lunar nectar. It's cooling vitality. It's the subtle essence of joy, of nourishment, and emotional steadiness. When balanced, Soma creates glowing skin, emotional steadiness, creativity, fertility, radiance, spiritual sweetness, and deeper intuition. But Scorpio moons really stir the emotional waters quite deeply, right? This moon can really aggravate both vata through anxiety, fear, overthinking, restlessness, and pitta through intensity, irritability, emotional reactivity, like check, 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 check. Especially if emotions have been suppressed instead of processed. And I am incredibly guilty of that. And that's something I'm actively working on is allowing myself to process instead of suppress. And that I think culturally we've been conditioned and taught to compartmentalize and suppress instead of process. And I believe, that's really why we're walking around as such a broken society because we aren't given the space to process and to heal. And hopefully, we are able to move out of that and into a space, this container where we're able to be human and experience all of these emotions freely without the fear of shame or guilt holding us back from allowing ourselves to be human. And we can't avoid these feelings, but when we push them down, they have to come up somehow through dis-ease, discomfort, through anxiety, fear, overthinking, intensity, irritability, emotional reactivity. And we're able to process through them through various rituals and techniques. We are liberated. And it really starts with us. And as we begin to liberate ourselves, the collective follows suit. And so this moon isn't asking you to become emotionally perfect. It's asking you to become emotionally honest. So, Ayurvedically, rituals for this full moon, think eat cooling and grounding foods. Well, what does that mean? It means to favor foods that nourish the nervous system while grounding emotional intensity. Really beautiful full moon foods to enjoy this weekend are coconut water, cucumber, mint, soaked almonds, a nice rose tea, some warm cardamom milk, juicy fruits, ghee, warm, cooling khichdi. So the khichdi being warm, but with cooling foods in the khichdi, root vegetables, cooked beets, stewed dates, sesame, some saffron milk, and really try to avoid overstimulating foods such as excessive caffeine, alcohol, spicy hot foods, processed sugar, and heavy late night meals. Your nervous system is already amplified under the full moon, so really support it gently and sweetly. A moon bathing ritual, you can sit beneath the moonlight for 10 to 20 minutes. No phone, no agenda, no performance, just simply sitting under the full moon and receiving. Moonlight has long been considered nourishing to the subtle body and the emotional field. And really, especially for people exhausted by modern overstimulation, which I think could be almost all of us. Abhyanga for emotional grounding. Abhyanga is a body massage with warm sesame oil or coconut oil. You can start massaging it into the scalp, moving down your whole body. Areas to really emphasize are the head, the feet, the heart center, the lower belly, really getting the entire body and saying really sweet, beautiful things to yourself. This ritual really helps to soothe vata while calming emotional excess. So the body starts to soften and the mind starts to unclench. And your nervous system remembers that it's not a battlefield. Kundalini yoga is a really beautiful practice to enjoy at this time. In yogic and tantric traditions, the moon is deeply linked to the Ida Nadi. That's the lunar energy channel, the left side channel of the body. And it governs intuition, receptivity, creativity, emotional intelligence, inner vision, and feminine energy. And under this Scorpio infused full moon, Kundalini practices can become especially potent. Not because the moon gives enlightenment, but because resistance weakens and the inner river begins to flow more freely. Scorpio energy and Tantra is deeply connected to transformation through feeling. So, not avoiding emotion, not transcending the body, but entering it fully. This moon may awaken Kundalini surges, emotional releases, heightened sensuality, psychic dreams, waves of devotion, spontaneous grief, and creative breakthroughs. especially through slow, intentional practice. Now, Kundalini is probably one of the most misunderstood branches of yoga. And for so long, we were taught that it's an aggressive, intense practice, and it can absolutely be that. But there's also this really beautiful, slow side to the practice of Kundalini that I think has been lost. And I feel it's my dharma to bring the entire aspect of the Kundalini practice back into its fullness. And so Kundalini can be really slow and intentional and powerful. And that type of Kundalini practice this weekend is what I highly recommend. Alternate nostril breath work, practicing Nadi Shodanan for 11 minutes. What this does is it balances the Ida, the moon channel, and Pingala, the sun channel. And it really creates this energetic equilibrium before deeper practice. The full moon and the sun are opposite each other in the sky. That's what makes it a full moon. And so doing Nadi Shodanan is a really beautiful way to balance both the moon and the sun energy within your body. Breathe slowly and without force. Let the breath really become a prayer. And what you do in Nadi Shodanan is you close off the right nostril. You'll inhale through the left and then close off the left and exhale through the right. So you inhale through the right, close, exhale through the left, and continue for 11 minutes. Best to do done while sitting up straight. You can sit on a meditation cushion, on a blanket, bolster, pillow. You could sit in a chair with your spine supported, whatever feels best, and a position where you can sit comfortably for 11 minutes to do this practice. Gaze could be soft and maybe even up into the third eye. A heart and sacral meditation. You can place one hand on the heart and one hand on the lower belly, close down the eyes, and really visualize this silver moonlight pouring through the body like a liquid nectar. And repeat silently, I release what no longer expands my soul. Not a sentimental love, but rather an embodied love. The kind that really steadies the spine. Full moon mantras. You can chant Om Som Somaye Namaha. This is a lunar mantra invoking emotional clarity and cooling awareness. The Maha mantra from the Bhakti tradition. This mantra Hara Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hara Rama, Rama Rama, Hara Hara. This bhakti mantra really dissolves the ego through devotion rather than force. And you can find the Maha mantra on YouTube or any listening service that you have, and you can play it in the background while you're cooking, while you're cleaning, while you're with your friends and family over the weekend. And remember that sometimes awakening happens not through intensity, but through surrender. And so, bhakti in the full moon, bhakti really teaches that longing itself can become sacred. The Sagittarius full moon magnifies whatever the heart genuinely seeks. And the Scorpio full moon reveals what the heart's been hiding. And together, this creates a really profound emotional and spiritual honesty. The bhakti under the full moon can look astonishingly simple. It's singing devotional songs, offering flowers, lighting a candle, praying honestly, crying without censorship, speaking to the divine as beloved, practicing gratitude, and sitting quietly in reverence. The moon softens the architecture around the heart. Now, what enters then often stays. Yoga practices for this Sagittarius Scorpio full moon. This moon really favors heart opening movement paired with grounding hip opening practices. So think fluidity over force, devotion over perfection, awareness over achievement, and softness over performance. Asanas, camel pose, pigeon pose, goddess pose, crescent lunge, seated forward fold, a nice supported fish pose, child's pose, a supine twist. Think move slowly. Let sensations become conversation. This is not the night to dominate the body. It's the night to listen to it. Bliss as embodied aliveness. I think bliss really gets misunderstood. People kind of hear the word and assume it means something really fluffy, disconnected, or spiritually performative. But bliss in the yogic tradition is not escapism. It is aliveness inhabiting the body fully, not only in the mind, not only in the heart, in the whole of who you are. It produces pleasure in the tissues and deep peace in the mind. Your magnetism strengthens, your eyes get brighter, your nervous system softens, your sense of cheerfulness returns, and your ability to move through difficult passages becomes greater. This is the inner vitality that changes everything. The kind of love that steadies instead of destabilizes. The kind of peace that exists even while transformation unfolds. Under this full moon, practices designed to awaken bliss and land especially deeply. The body becomes receptive, the heart becomes porous, and the soul becomes easier to hear. A full moon ritual of release. Sagittarius rules belief systems, and Scorpio rules emotional attachments. So, under this full moon, ask yourself, what story have I mistaken for truth because it once protected me? And then write down your limiting beliefs, your fears, your outdated identities, your resentments, your emotional attachments, the patterns you're ready to end, and the narratives that shrink your spirit. And then safely burn the paper. Ancient rituals work because the subconscious speaks symbol fluently. So the fire says this chapter is complete. And the ash says transformation already happened. Signs, synchronicities, and lunar messages. The blue moon often coincides with strange timing. So watch the next 2 weeks following this lunation for repeating numbers, for dreams that may be profound, unexpected invitations, maybe potential sudden endings, spontaneous insights, meaningful encounters, old teachers resurfacing, conversations that alter perspective. Sagittarius communicates through symbols and journeys. And Scorpio communicates through intuition and emotional undercurrents. The universe may not send a memo, it might actually send a doorway. Think truth and expansion, emotional alchemy, body and spirit, relationships and soul direction. These are all things to contemplate during this full moon. And this Sagittarius Scorpio blue moon is not asking you to become someone else. It's asking you to stop abandoning who you already are. The yogis understood something modern life often forgets, that bliss is not escapism. True bliss is aliveness inhabiting the body fully. It sharpens perception. It strengthens the heart. It brightens the eyes. It makes life feel inhabited again. And under this full moon, practices deepen, truths surface, and the nervous system becomes receptive to grace. And somewhere between moonlight and breath, between fire and surrender, something ancient inside you remembers the way home. So light the candle, step outside, move slowly, pray honestly, cry if you need to, release what is complete. And let this rare blue moon illuminate not only what must end, but who you are finally ready to become. Happy full moon weekend.